Hello everyone. I'm Imperial Master Jeong Soo. It's great to meet you. It's lovely to see your faces again. Anyway, you've got to see people's faces. That's how you get close. A long time ago, Dr. Song Yunli told me that if there's someone you like, you should keep hanging around them. So, even if someone doesn't seem nice at first, if you see them once, twice, 3 times, you'll start to like them. That's why we need to see each other often to look good to one another. Now, you've got to apply this to your business as well. Visit your customers frequently, and always think about how you can find any excuse to meet your partners just one more time. I believe that by meeting like that, you get closer, have things to talk about, and then business talk just happens naturally. A constant concern I hear from New Zealand is that the people here receive a lot of government benefits. How are we supposed to approach people like this? I get that question a lot. When hearing that, I also felt a bit frustrated at times. But then, I started to reflect on my own experience. I used to work at a school too. I had no trouble making a living. Retirement was guaranteed, and it was a very stable job. But I wasn't satisfied with that stable job. So, just living month to month on that fixed salary, I wasn't happy with myself like that. Can you really live a fulfilling life just on government benefits? They really only give you enough just to survive. I had big dreams. I really wanted to be wealthy. And because I love giving to others, I really wanted to earn a lot of money. I truly wanted to help my family and my siblings who were struggling. You see, my father passed away when I was only 4 years old. My mother raised 8 children all on her own. My youngest sibling passed away when they were only about 3 months old. So, if you do the maths, with usually a 3 or 4 year gap, it was 4, 7, 10, 13, and so on for all 8 of us. But my mother, for the record, was the daughter of a very, very wealthy family. She said she'd never done a day's farm work in her life. But she felt so overwhelmed thinking about how to feed all these children. So, there was a lady who supplied fish to our house, and my mother decided to follow her. In the old days in the countryside, there were ladies who sold fish while carrying them on their heads. So, she started raising her children by going around selling fish with that lady. My mother has sold just about everything you can imagine. For instance, we had persimmon and chestnut trees at our house. We never got to eat the good ones ourselves, because Mum would pick out all the best ones and sell them. We farmed sweet potatoes too, but she sold every single one of those as well. For my mother, who worked so hard like that, I couldn't do anything for her with just my salary then. I really wanted to do something special for her. I've mentioned in my lectures before about having my mother live with me. Now, for my older sister, there were government allowances for taking care of the elderly, for example. My sister received those, so she took Mum from my house to live with her. But on top of that, I also paid my sister a monthly salary. So, one day, my mum called me up and said this. She felt very confident and proud about staying at my sister's place. It wasn't that my sister was just looking after her. In Mum's mind, she thought, my youngest daughter pays you a salary. Yes, that's how my mum was. So, quite boldly, she'd say, she only keeps me because you pay her. Otherwise, why would she? She'd boast like that. Isn't it better to earn as much money as possible? Don't you have people around you that you want to help? Don't you all want to help your children and your extended family as well? I mentioned I'm one of 8 siblings. After I became successful, all 7 of my siblings moved to Iksan where I live. Since I'd made it, and my older brothers and sisters weren't exactly well off. Well, house prices in Iksan aren't that expensive, so I bought houses for all of my brothers and sisters. Of course, they aren't massive, fancy houses. You saw the building center I built, didn't you? Yes, I built that, but I also bought another small building. I bought that building specifically for my family to live in. So, I renovated the offices on the 2nd and 3rd floors and turned them into homes. My older sisters and brothers are living there now. And for those who don't live there, I got them separate apartments. So, do you think my siblings think I'm wonderful or not? They absolutely adore me. They want to do everything for me. They are always asking, what do you want to eat? What can I do for you? Yes, even now, since I've been away from Iksan for a while, They are all making a fuss saying they miss me, telling me to come back soon. If you have money, there's truly so much you can do. When you look around, there are so many people you'd want to help. People ask me where I spend all the money I earn. I'm telling you, the more you earn, the more ways you find to use it. I believe those of you here today didn't come just to rely on government handouts, but because you truly want to live your lives to the fullest. When I quit my job at the school, so many people, starting with my own siblings, were against it and made a huge fuss asking why I was leaving. Of course, things didn't go exactly as planned at first, so I struggled a lot. I had a lot of regrets back then, thinking, why on earth did I quit that school job just to suffer like this? But it was that persistent desire to achieve something that made me who I am today. I believe that's what created the current me. First of all, I want you to define your dreams very clearly. Don't just crumble or give up easily because of what someone says. If your own dream is clear, who you want to be and what you want to achieve, then I believe that conviction will be conveyed to your partners and everyone else. First, I'd really like you all to try writing out your life scenarios accurately once again. When I first started writing my life scenario, when they told me to do it, I had a lot of doubts, like, will this actually happen just because I write it down? But back in my day, the chairman himself would go around to every single room after the Success Academy ended, and he'd check on everyone to see whether they were actually writing their scenarios or not. He'd look closely at what we wrote and ask things like, why didn't you put a deadline here? Or why isn't the exact amount written here? He was involved in every little detail. Because of that, I had no choice but to write it. But as I kept writing, I realized that without even knowing it, my body started moving according to what I'd written. I wrote down that I would meet at least 10 people every single day. Then, I found myself constantly making lists just so I could meet those 10 people. I just felt like I had to go out and meet someone. I wrote that I'd achieve at least 10,000 PV a day. And then I felt like I absolutely had to make it happen. And I wrote down Royal Master as my ultimate goal. As I've mentioned in my Success Academy lectures, I wasn't very confident about moving up the ranks. I didn't think I'd be able to reach those higher levels. I felt like Imperial Master was completely out of reach, so I just wrote down Royal Master instead. I chose the most expensive apartment in Iksan. And for the center, I wrote down that building I showed you all earlier. And for the car, just like I said before, I wrote down a Porsche. But the thing is, you really do move according to what you write. I eventually found and moved into an apartment that was about 165 square meters. I even had it fully renovated before moving in, so I didn't really have any reason to move again. But you see, there was that specific apartment I'd written down at the very beginning. I felt like I had to go there, just as I'd written in my life scenario. So, even though my current place hadn't sold yet, I went ahead and moved into that apartment. What I'm saying is that your body follows what you've written down. Because I wrote that I'd reach Royal Master, I had absolutely no intention of giving up until I got there. And so, I somehow managed to make it to Royal Master. But once I actually became a Royal Master, I suddenly didn't want to work anymore. I'd reached the goal I'd set for myself, you see. I just lost all my motivation to keep working. And back then, the chairman used to say, once you reach Royal Master, you can all just relax and play. So I really thought that was the end of the road. And so, I actually spent about a month just taking it easy. I didn't even go to seminars, I just rested. But while I was resting then, there was something I felt as I was taking a break. Right, you've achieved your goal and you've succeeded. But what about your partners? Have the partners who followed and trusted you succeeded? Thinking like that, I realized there were partners who hadn't succeeded yet. So I thought, from now on, I shouldn't be working for myself, but I really need to work for my partners. So after becoming a Royal Master, I worked with the mindset of truly working for my partners, and I think things went even better. To be honest, when I was going for Royal Master, I pushed myself a bit too hard. Because of that, right after I became a Royal Master, I collapsed. I had to go to the Success Academy promotion ceremony, but I just wasn't in a state to go. But I felt I had to attend the ceremony, so I went to the hospital for an 4 drip and wore really comfortable clothes. Since I didn't know if I'd collapse again, I chose clothes that would be okay even if I did. So, although reaching Royal Master was a real struggle, once I got there, my partners went wild. I had such a hard time getting there, but it really fired up my partners with incredible passion. They were so passionate because their sponsor had become the first Royal Master. They got so fired up and worked so incredibly hard that my organization started growing rapidly, and I think we achieved massive growth. Now, normally Crown should be harder, and Imperial should be even harder, right? But for Crown and Imperial, it was actually my partners who got me there. There was a brief mention of someone else going for Crown Master. But then my partners came to me and said, "No way. Our sponsor has to go first." They really stepped up like that. It was the same for Imperial Master as well. So, in fact, it's as if my partners were the ones who made me the first Crown and the first Imperial. Depending on your relationship with your partners, if you build that kind of teamwork, you can achieve anything. One time, one of my partners said they wanted to go for Royal, but when I looked at the organizational chart, it just wasn't feasible at all. So I said, "It's too difficult with this chart," and I told them not to go for it. But word of that got around to the other partners. The rumor spread that Park Jeong Soo was stopping our sponsor from going for Royal. Then, all of a sudden, they all banded together. "What? Our sponsor Park Jeong Soo is stopping them. Then we'll just make it happen ourselves." They really united like that. So, even though their chart wasn't ready and their sales weren't there, since they worked as a team, they just made it happen. So, in the end, I reckon I did the right thing by stopping them, because I got the partners all fired up. Since we are talking about ranks, let me share my thoughts on them with you. Anyway, we've got these things called ranks, don't we? Whenever my partners say they want to reach a rank, there's something I always ask them. For yourself, or I ask if they are doing it just because they want to, and I ask if their team will actually grow more once they've reached that rank. On the contrary, there are teams that grow after reaching it because they felt they had to do it for their partners. But then, after reaching it, there are times when the team just falls apart. Reaching a rank is actually a bit like a double-edged sword, really. The way I see it, you've got to have a really clear picture of your team structure. You need to see if moving up will help your team grow, or if it'll just make things harder for them. To put it simply, say you're aiming for Diamond Master, but if you're doing it out of greed when no one's even working, and you're just forcing it to happen yourself, that's just pushing it too far. But for example, if you're going for Diamond Master, you need 2 sales masters on each side, don't you? If you've got 2 people on each side who've committed to the business, then it's all good. 2 people on each side saying, "I'm really keen to give this business a proper go." It's fine to go for a rank when you've actually got the people there. But trying to buy your way in when you don't have the people, that's a no-go. If people committed to the business work together, they can reach sales master with just 2.5 million. So moving up like that because you've got people working together isn't pushing it too hard. Because you can get there if everyone just plays their part, you see. Then, moving up when you've got people working means sales are likely to take off afterwards. This person hasn't even decided to work, but you think they'll be good, so you make them a sales master. Or because you're short on people, you use a family member's name to make a sales master. Doing things like that won't help your team grow. It could actually kill it off. So, when you're having a hard time deciding whether to go for a rank or not, you just need to check if you've actually got the people or not. Anyway, ranks aside, how should you work when you can't reach a rank? First off, even if you want to move up, you can't because you don't have the people. Will you just wait around aimlessly? You've got to get out there into the field. We need to create many loyal users. The reason we grew from a company with absolutely nothing to this is just 2 things: cosmetics and hemohim. I don't know how good you think the cosmetics are, but I'm someone who believes that a product like this will never be seen again. No matter how great a Korean company is, they can't imitate these cosmetics. At that time, we were the only ones who could use the technology from the Atomic Energy Research Institute to make cosmetics with so many raw ingredients. And by using these cosmetics, you could see your skin actually improving and changing in just 3 months. That's what our cosmetics did. Also, so many people saw great results when they took Hemohim. That word of mouth just kept spreading and spreading, but that Hemohim is a product that didn't exist in any other country in the world. For example, things that are good for your eyes. For example, things good for the liver. I reckon every other country has those. But when it comes to immunity, Hemohim was the only one with individual recognition. With that too, many people felt the effects, like not feeling tired after just 3 days. So, I'd like you to push the products with more confidence, regardless of whether they are Kiwis or not. In the end, the more the product is out there, the more people will come forward. When I came to New Zealand, I let the ladies I was with use our packs and cosmetics for 3 days, and since their skin changed, they said they'd switch to Atomy Cosmetics straight away. Hemohim was a product that worked for everyone, whether they were black, white, or Asian. You yourselves should be using it more actively, getting better, and talking about it actively. But looking at you, I want to ask if you're really taking Hemohim that actively. Of course, you might think it's because you're a bit short on cash. But even if you have to save on other things, I'd like you to take Hemohim actively. Get those around you to do it too, listen to their stories, and keep seeing what changes happen to you. Once my sister got better after taking our Hemohim, because she experienced it herself, she was selling about 7 or 8 boxes a week. I hope you'll put more effort into actively studying the products and sharing them more actively. New Zealand's total population is only about a bit over 5 million. With this small population, how about we spread the word so that at least everyone will be aware of Atomy Cosmetics and Atomy Hemohim? For now, the most important thing you can do is to share the products with others. Like I said, you need people to reach a higher rank. How can you rank up without any people? So, you have to keep sharing products until you find those people. Share them, visit people, turn them into loyal users, and keep building those relationships. I mentioned that meeting them often makes you more likable. If you keep at it honestly, I don't think this job is particularly difficult. But for me, doing the same thing over and over gets a bit tedious. And because it's so simple, it doesn't even feel like work. You wonder what you're doing. You have to visit the same people every day, and you have to say the same things every single time. Again and again, without end. I believe it all comes down to who refuses to give up and sees it through. The manager of the centre I visited for 8 months once told me something. He said, actually, I'd already heard about Atomy from someone else. But that person only visited 2 or 3 times and then never came back. So, because they weren't persistent, he didn't think it was a serious business. But I kept going back, talking to him again and again and again. So he said, if that other person had explained it as thoroughly as you, I would have joined then. They just mentioned it a few times, and when he said no, they just stopped coming. I managed to win over the person that they had given up on. So, no matter who it is, I hope you don't give up just because they say they won't do it or use it. But I'd really like to see you all going about with a bright, wide smile. If you look all gloomy and downcast, no one is going to want to listen to what you have to say. The chairman told me this once, remember. Back when I reached Sharon Rose Master, I didn't realize Jeong Soo was struggling so much. He said he couldn't tell at all from my expression. He asked how I could be so confident while going through all that. He said it was that confidence that brought Jeong Soo to where she is today. The chairman always says this, doesn't he? No matter what your current situation is, you should act as if you've already become a success in Atomy. Just like in your life scenario, you need to embody that successful version of yourself now. You're already living in that beautiful house in New Zealand that you wrote about in your life scenario. You're already driving the car that you envisioned for yourself. The chairman told a story about the early days. He wrote down that he'd have a Mercedes, the very best Mercedes, and with that Mercedes, you only have to close the door gently and it shuts with a soft click. But the car the chairman was actually driving back then was a real old clunker. He drove a car where the doors would slam shut with a loud bang. But in his mind, every time he closed that door, he thought to himself, "This car is a Mercedes. The doors are closing right now." He said he'd imagined that every single time he closed the door. In our early days, things were so tough that we didn't even have money for food. When we had our first seminar at my failed restaurant, the chairman lectured for 6 or 7 hours until the evening. But nobody was suggesting that we go and get something to eat. Back then, there was this meal served on a tray, like you'd get at a Korean market. I think it cost about $4 the time. So I bought that cheap meal, and one of the partners said they could never forget it because it was so delicious. And then there's our Imperial master, Im Soo-taek. He's my sponsor, and he and his younger brother ran the business together. Since they never had money for food, they'd walk past restaurants and say things like this. If they passed a raw fish place, they'd say, "Let's enjoy some sashimi today." Or if they passed a barbecue place, they'd say, "We are eating meat right now," just by imagining it in their heads. They actually ran the business while going hungry. You probably can't even imagine it, doing business while starving like that. Here, at least the government feeds everyone. The early members overcame those hardships to protect Atomy. Someone once said this: the early members of Atomy didn't have much talent, but they were all very kind. So, someone put it this way: if they'd been talented, they would have left long ago. Because they weren't, they just stayed here and held the fort. So in a way, Atomy exists today because those kind people protected it. Actually, when you hear everyone's individual stories, there are some you just can't listen to without crying. Take our Imperial master, Park Yong-ok. He couldn't afford the bus fare, so he walked to work. But in the dead of winter, he still had to wear a suit for sales. So he wore the suit, but he didn't have a coat to put over it. So without a coat, in that freezing winter, he walked to work because he had no fare. Anyway, there's no end to the stories from those difficult times. When we early members get together and talk about it now, everyone says that they didn't even realize how hard it was. I mean, their stories are heartbreaking, but they say they didn't feel the hardship. Why didn't we find it hard? It's because we were truly desperate. We were so desperate that it just drove us to keep going. Because I was that crazy, when you're crazy, you don't even know you're tired. They say when you're crazy, you'll go see anyone. When you're crazy, you look at anyone and smile. When you're crazy, you don't even feel the cold. When you're crazy, you don't even feel embarrassed. Because we were in that state, I think we were able to overcome it. It's hard for you lot to get that crazy. I reckon it's because you're not desperate enough, and you haven't found a reason to succeed that badly. The reason why I absolutely had to succeed, I found it very clearly. Luckily, as I said before, my mum got to see me succeed before she passed away. And my siblings are all living so happily together like that now. I didn't earn this money all by myself. It's the result of working together with so many partners. So, I don't really think of it as just my money. I keep praying about why God has given me such a blessing. I am constantly looking for ways to use that money more humbly. Right, so anyway, since New Zealand is a small country, I really hope you all become one team. If you lot really want to grow, imagine if there was only one line in New Zealand. Would that be better? If there's only one line, no, the more lines you have here, the better. It's good to have many sibling lines. If there are many sibling lines, more sponsors will look towards New Zealand. But if there's only one line, only that sponsor will come. And if you only have one line, there's no competition. I believe we need some healthy competition among ourselves. Being together allows for that healthy competition. And if a sibling line is doing well, you can see why they are succeeding. I think that's how we learn as well. So, regardless of different lines, I'd like you to think of yourselves as one line here in New Zealand. I believe that helping each other and working together is how New Zealand will truly grow. And I'd also like you lot to take a bit more interest in the systems the company runs. Please make the seminars more active and passionate. The number of people there doesn't matter. Whether it's one person or 10, Those who are there just need to do their best. But if you're just drained and showing no passion, it drains the speaker too. It's that one person who makes things happen. You just have to think that you can make it happen. Don't look at others. You're the one who has to make it. You're the one who has to create your own image. You just need to get healthy and become a proactive, passionate person yourself. If I catch fire, then everyone around me can catch fire too. I believe that each one of you is the one who starts things off. These days in Korea, I've been saying things like this. Someone's been doing Atomy for 5 years, but they haven't seen much results. They've done it for 10 years, but no results. But I think that can happen because everyone has different ways of working and different circumstances. But looking at it, there are plenty of people who do succeed. Even elderly people have succeeded. People who didn't finish school have succeeded too. People with no experience in network marketing have succeeded one after another. There are so many people who have succeeded like that, so you can't really say it doesn't work. I see that they really put in a lot of effort themselves. But sometimes people around you don't help. Sometimes your environment just keeps holding you back. That environment could be your family, or it could be acquaintances who reject you every time you try, holding you back. That's what your environment is like. On the other hand, some people start Atomy and just talk to one person, and that person immediately decides to join Atomy right then and there. They are even more fired up and active than I am. I think there's an element of luck in being given that kind of environment. Some people go out every day and meet 10 or 20 people, but no one is willing to help them. There was this person in Korea. This person had no interest in Atomy, but they just casually told someone about this company. That person came to an Atomy seminar, listened, and saw the vision. So they jumped right into it. Then they casually told someone else. And that person also wanted to join Atomy. This person isn't even working hard, but their lines are doing great. This kind of person is really lucky. Their business just started taking off. As they worked hard, their partners started getting angry. Why are we doing all the work to make money for a sponsor who does nothing? So someone went and reported that to the company. So, because of that complaint, they started pretending to work a bit. But anyway, while they were doing that, they passed away. Their wife came in and worked really hard. They didn't work hard themselves, but the wife is doing a great job. So in this business, some lucky people just get it, while others struggle no matter what. If your business isn't going well, just think, I'm just really unlucky. But I'll still give it a go. Don't just focus on success and making money. I'd like you to focus on how to be happy and enjoy yourself today. Your happiness shouldn't be, I'll only be happy in Atomy once I've succeeded. I hope you find happiness just by being with these people in Atomy. If it wasn't for Atomy, how would I have ever met all of you? Everyone looks lovely just because we are all part of Atomy. When we talk about Atomy, time just flies by, doesn't it? I want you to find happiness just in the fact that we are gathered here. Forget the idea that you'll only be happy after succeeding in 5 or 10 years. I really hope you find happiness within Atomy every single day. So even if you haven't reached your goals after 5 years, I hope you have no regrets. Even after 10 years have passed, I hope you're living a life that you don't regret at all. Look for the little joys. And have some fun while you work. Enjoy sharing the products with others. When someone says they love our products, that makes us so happy, doesn't it? The chairman has shown us that Atomy started donating even when we had nothing. I mentioned the SOS charity started by our members, right? The chairman has been talking about SOS since the very beginning. He always said we should help others even when we are broke, not just when we are rich. He said he kept taking $150 or $200 to the town office. He handed over that small amount of money and said, "I'm sorry, but is it okay to donate such a small amount?" That's what he apparently asked. Back then, the chairman couldn't even bring home his wife's salary. Even in that situation, he started helping others. So now, among Korean companies with similar sales, our company is the one that donates the most. It's not that we help because we have it. We started when we had nothing, and even after becoming this big, we continue to help. Regarding the support for compassion, I heard the chairman is giving his entire salary to them right now. He's helping like that, and I believe he's sponsoring 1,000 children. I'm only sponsoring 51. Compared to the chairman, it's really nothing. But anyway, I think I'm continuing to follow in his footsteps. Just being part of a company like Atomy makes me feel like I'm at a great company. And I hope you all feel a sense of pride just by being involved with products from a company like this. The reason I started thinking that way is because, among those who started with me in Iksan, there are some who haven't been as successful as I'd hoped. So, looking at them, as I said before, I've come to feel more strongly that the time spent in Atomy shouldn't just be about money, but about being happy just by being together. I hope you all can also share Atomy products with more joy and happiness. Among the questions someone asked was about AI. They asked if Atomy can truly be a means of success for us living in the age of AI. Well, to put it simply, as the chairman says, whether it's the age of AI or whatever era, the products we handle are things we eat, use, and apply. No matter how much the AI era advances, we still have to brush our teeth, wash our faces, and apply things right. So, fortunately, we are a company that deals in essential products that people can't do without. But then, this was mentioned. When the age of AI comes, then absolutely everything becomes completely open. There's nothing people won't know anymore. If you ask AI about Atomy, it'll tell you everything. So, because everything is revealed, a company simply has to be honest. Everything is shown so transparently like that. And the products absolutely have to be genuinely good. In a way, our products themselves have to become the brand. Now, on the contrary, those somewhat ridiculous network marketing places, the ones that have just made up weird compensation plans, those places won't be able to survive anymore. But now it's this. Increasingly, young people find it quite burdensome when someone visits them in person. Because of that, while we still meet people, we should also look into ways to share Atomy through social media or other means without having to visit them. We should be more proactive in sharing our information without visiting, while also thinking of ways to make things more active through Zoom, for example. We need to consider those methods as we move forward, but I believe Atomy will be fine even in the age of artificial intelligence. I believe our company is one that becomes more transparent the more you dig into it, so it's a company we can present with confidence. I also believe we handle products that we can present with absolute confidence. Right, you guys don't really watch badminton here, do you? You do? Yes. You like it? Yes. Oh, right. This time, in badminton, An Se-young. That player had our Him logo right there on her shorts. An Se-young is the top player in the world. Since she's a world-class athlete, I think it will get a lot more exposure. I think that's how Atomy products become a brand like this. As we become a brand, I'm certain our company is bound to do even better in the future. Anyway, as a final request, if passion doesn't show on your faces, you can't ignite it in others. As Atomy leaders, I'd like you to look into ways to make the seminars more proactive, lively, and positive, as I mentioned. And I heard the branch office is moving to a better location, and there's also a small seminar room there too, apparently. And I see the branch manager has a very open mind. So I'd like you to be proactive and keep sharing your ideas on how we can improve the seminars. I hope you'll research and improve the seminar quality to really suit New Zealand. I'd like to see you all move with more proactivity and passion. The number of people here isn't small. We started with only 17 people, but you have many more than that now. You just need to change your mindset. Once you change, I hope you'll step out with more confidence and energy. The less your line seems to be working, the more you should make it look like it is, so that others think, oh, that line must be doing well. Is there something special about that line? Make them have that impression. You know how they say people with no money act like they have the most. People who are actually wealthy don't act like they are rich. It's exactly the same as that. Even if your business isn't going well, you've got to act like it is. That way, people will think, oh, if I join that line, I'll succeed. Something's going to happen. You need to create that impression. You all know how much I truly love New Zealand, right? Actually, the first Imperial Master has emerged in China now. A global Imperial Master. As for me, strangely enough, I'm a very lucky woman when it comes to atomy. About 80% of the China line is under my left and right, and it's very balanced. 40% on the left and 40 on the right. So that Imperial Master also came from my line. But people were asking me if I shouldn't be there for the first global Imperial. Yet, I left all that behind and came here instead. They said to me, is there really any point in going all the way to New Zealand? All your partners are in China, so why are you over there? Over there, even for just one line meeting, 1,000 people show up. Despite it being a country growing at such a scary pace, I came here because I truly love you all. So, I should probably make my visit here really count, shouldn't I? Now, let's give it our best. Well, that's all from me. Thank you for listening to my speech. I wish you success.